Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Alex here. So as we all know, assessment is a part of the daily life of a teacher and their students, and the whole purpose of assessment is to support student learning and help students to learn and grow to their full potential. So I think it's only fitting that on this channel we start to talk a little bit more about assessment. And there are three main types of assessment, and I'm going to be covering each of them in a separate video. This video is on assessment as learning, and the videos to follow will be on assessment for learning and of learning. So don't worry, I'll cover everything, and I'll also make sure to give you some examples. So stick around closer to the end of the video, and that will be where the examples of each of these come into play. So with that said, let's get into it. So I guess we should start off with talking about what assessment as learning is before we get into what it practically looks like in a classroom. So assessment for learning pieces, or AaL, is where educators or teachers help students develop into independent thinkers and learners by helping them set their individual goals, monitor their progress, determine the next steps they need to take, and then critically reflect upon their thinking and their learning. And in short, that means that teachers need to explicitly help students foster their own capacity over time and develop their ability to be their own best assessors. So that way they know what they need to do, how to do it, when to get it done by, and how well they think they did on their own work, and where they can improve. Now, it might actually seem a little counterintuitive given that assessment as learning focuses on developing students into independent learners and thinkers, but it actually starts from the teacher. And it actually starts from the teacher because it relies on the teacher to begin modeling this form of independent learning and behavior, as well as presenting students the opportunities to assess themselves and their progress. And that in turn will lead to the development of student metacognition, where students will be more actively engaged in the assessment process. By being able to set their own goals and monitor their progress, and then using self-assessment pieces or peer assessment pieces or feedback from teachers to inform themselves on what they should be doing next and how to improve. And now one key caveat on AaL pieces is that students need to have a clear idea and a clear understanding of what the learning goals and success criteria are for any given assignment. And this might mean something like explicitly posting the success criteria or providing a rubric to the students well in advance so that way they're able to plan and develop their own goals. And again, that comes back to the teacher presenting opportunities for students to self-assess themselves. And now under the branch of assessment as learning, there are two distinct types of assessments. There are self-assessments and peer assessments. So now the first of these, self-assessments, requires the students to assess their own learning progress using a variety of sources. And their teachers must model what it means to self-assess, either to the whole class or a small group. That way students know what to expect and what that self-assessment should look like. As well, as I just mentioned, it requires the students to have knowledge of what the learning goals and success criteria are. And now for the second of these type of assessments, the peer assessments. Here, this is where students use the given learning goals and success criteria to provide feedback to their peers. And this not only provides the ability for their peers to improve, but it also allows students to look at what others did well and how they can improve their own work through viewing other students' work. And it's actually a really powerful process. So I would heavily suggest for any teacher to incorporate more peer assessment into their classroom. And this is where we get to the fun part, and the part that probably most of you clicked on this video for. And that is how to use assessment as learning in the classroom, and what are some practical examples. So I'm going to give you a list of both self and peer assessments that you yourself can use in the classroom. So starting off with self-assessments, we can ask students to set goals, to complete various educational portfolios and document their work and their progress. We can ask students to continually review their work using the success criteria provided, and this could be in the form of a checklist or something else along those lines. We can ask them to complete reflective writing pieces based on their experience and how they feel that they've been doing on a given assessment. We can ask them to complete KWL charts, which are Know, Wonder, Learn charts, and these are actually really powerful as it gives the student an opportunity to write down what they know prior to a given lesson or a given topic, what questions they have about the topic as they're going through that material, and then finally what they learned after completing the assessment or going through the material themselves. Another form of self-assessment is having students complete exit tickets that ask them to reflect on their experiences and what they learned, sort of similar to the reflective writing and KWL pieces that I just covered, as well as filling in rubrics that the teacher provided so that way they can monitor their progress and determine what they need to do next. And then lastly, this is probably a little more applicable to a primary junior teacher, but that would be something along the lines of a red, yellow, green activity, which is more similar to like a start, stop, continue, where students sit down and they say, what went poorly? What do I need to improve on? And how can I do that? What do I need to stop doing to improve my progress? And what do I need to continue doing? Or what is working well for me? And now we're going to jump over into the peer assessments, and this is actually where it gets to be a lot of fun, but peer assessments do take a little bit longer. So if you're going to be using peer assessments in the classroom, you should probably plan for it a little bit better. It's not something that students can necessarily take home. And here we can have students interviewing other students where they ask them, again, what they think they did well, what they need to continue, how their progress is going, what they can improve on, etc. We can ask students to review the work of others using the provided success criteria and learning goals. We can ask students to do a think, pair, share activity, which is where students have a certain prompt, they think about it, they pair up with someone else and talk about it, and then they share that with the larger group. And then there's also the respond, reflect, review activity, where students will be paired up in a small group, they will be given a prompt or asked a question, everyone will be given the opportunity to respond. Then as a group, they reflect on these responses, how they can improve them, so on and so forth, sort of everything that I've already covered. And then they review it and make a plan on how to improve in the future. And there you go. So I hope you all learned a little bit about assessment as learning, and I hope that those lists of various self and peer assessments gave you an idea of how you can incorporate AaL into your own classroom. But yeah, so that's the end of this video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this content, and if you want to see more like it, or other content such as the various teaching podcasts that I host, or some cool science demonstrations, please like and subscribe to my channel. It definitely goes a long way in helping a new YouTube content creator like myself out. But with that said, I hope you all have a great day, and I hope you all stay happy, safe, and healthy. So with that said, bye everyone, and enjoy.